Hello, you delightful individuals, and welcome back to the wonderful world of thirst and vanity, where we explore all dynamics of hedonistic endeavor. It is, after all, the home of hedonism, so that makes entire sense, right? And today we're going to be looking at the past and looking at the future, for we are doing the rule of threes, which is to say we're going to look at 3 bad things that have happened throughout 2024, 3 good things that have happened throughout 2024, and 3 things that I am delving into the future, or certainly planning for 2025. I feel like this is a nice way of rounding up the year. You know, we're coming to the end of 2024. There are horizons of gloriousness in 2025. And I feel like it's good to look back and identify things that you weren't happy with, identify things you were happy with, and then using that information, look forward to the future and decide where you want to go with it. Well, what have we learned from the past that we can carry into the future? You know, that kind of thing. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I have, posted a proper video. I've been extremely busy, for it is the festive period, and naturally, being a freelance performer, the festive period gets really busy. I was doing a Christmas parade for a week where we went on an open-top bus and we were driving around and looking all fancy and beautiful. I was the head of the toy soldiers, General Nutcracker, which was entertaining because it started very much like, General Melchett, darling, and then very quickly went into Nigel Thornberry in order to save my voice, where I was like, and here we are for Christmas. So, besides that and the magnificent moustache that I am wearing, as you can see here, it was good. It was good fun. But unfortunately, that did take priority over my YouTube side of things, because as much as I love to produce regular concurrent content for you, say that 3 times. Regular concurrent content. Oh my God. Why do I do this to myself? Anyway, despite the fact that I love producing YouTube videos, you gotta go where the money is, and they were paying me to be in a Christmas parade, so that was that. And then life stuff happened, so I got delayed by a week. So it's been a couple of weeks, but I'm back now to discuss the past and the future. Anyway, back to it. So first things first, I want to talk about the bad things. Always start with the bad news, because then when you get to the good news, you have context and perspective. Yes. So, rule of threes. We have 3 things for the bad news. The bad things that happened in 2024. Well, where do we start? First of all, I was screwed over by my accountant. So in the UK, we have to get all our accounts in by the end of January, even though the deadline is the end of March. But like, if you're doing anything online, you got to get it into the tax office by the end of January. I gave all of my information over to my accountant. As a bit of perspective, my accountant was the family accountant, the accountant that my parents used for their business, that my sister used for her business. And I was like, yeah, they've done well for my parents and my siblings, so why would I not use them? I remember being very confused when I first walked in, because I opened the doors to find piles and piles of paper documents everywhere. Like, absolutely everywhere. We're talking old film noir detective's office, 1920s, where they had piles of, like, old cases and stuff like that on there. Or like a newspaper. Like somebody writing articles, and they have piles of papers of stuff that they need to sift through and what have you. That kind of thing. But this was my accountant, and I immediately got a little unsettled, because this didn't seem like a very secure place to have my accounts. But they came highly recommended, and they were doing very, very well for themselves. So I was like, do you know what? I'll trust this. They also were adamant that everything be out on paper. Like, he was very old school, very much doing everything on paper, which, not my cup of tea personally. I like to do everything digitally, but I was paying them to do a job. Do you know what I mean? I was paying them to do a job. What more do I want? Anyway, I actually gave them my accounts with plenty of notice. I waited to hear back, and didn't hear anything back. I mean, I say plenty of notice. It was like November. So middle of November, I handed them over. Obviously, there's a festive period. I didn't panic too much because I was like, cool, they'll get them all sorted. And despite the fact that I'd had a couple of issues in the past, I was quite confident because I thought it was all together. I'd followed all of their instructions, so it all made sense. Then came January. I realized I hadn't heard anything. I rang them up and said, hey, what's going on? What's happening? And the receptionist was like, don't worry, Mr. Vain. They are on with it next. That'll be the next one. And I was like, cool, fantastic. Not an issue. I'll wait to hear back. Couple of weeks passed. Still nothing. I was like, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Don't worry, Mr. Vain. It's all fine and dandy. It'll be okay. We'll get it all sorted for you. So after this, I was like, a little worried, a little uncertain, but believed that they knew their job, believed that they knew what they were talking about and that they would get it all sorted, because that is the reason why I pay an accountant, because I'm sure I could do it myself, but I would rather pay somebody who knows what they're talking about. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Let them do their job. That is what they're paid for. Anyway, came to the end of January, rang them up again. They said, don't worry, it's all been filed. I was a little uncertain because I hadn't seen it before it had been filed, but I put my faith in them. And then I got a tax bill for £1,300, which seems like a hell of a lot considering how much money I actually made, how much money actually was mine via profit, as I had calculated it through the accountancy software that I use, you know? It seemed like a hell of a lot. I am a self-employed performer. We don't get a lot of money. It's not a thing. I do enough to survive. I am good. I'm a happy-go-lucky scamp, but I don't, like, I'm not like a millionaire. Do you know what I mean? I'm not making bank. That is not a thing. So I was a little confused as to why their calculations were so different to my own calculations. So I booked in a meeting with them. I was like, hey, can we talk this through? What's going on? Had a phone call with them to explain the whole situation. And it turned out... it still riles me up now. It turned out that my accountant had decided to omit certain things from my accounts. They just didn't file them. Certain aspects that I specifically had been told to do, like one of the things that they had asked me, I said last year I didn't understand how they wanted me to do it, so I asked them and they said, oh, just do it as a lump sum at the end of the year. And I was like, cool, not a problem. Piled it all together as a lump sum at the end of the year, and they didn't add that as an expense because they didn't understand what it was for. And instead of asking me what it was all about, instead of remembering that they had specifically asked me to file it like this, they just omitted it. They're just like, oh, well, I don't know what that is, so I'm just going to ignore that bit and just not file it. So, yeah, that was really awkward. And it was all fine in the end. I managed to pay the tax and everything, but I was really annoyed about it. I was really frustrated about it. And as that happened, I declared to myself, more than anybody else, I declared that I was not going to use them as an accountant ever again. That was it. Like, I'm not happy with the way that I had been treated. And it was doubly annoying because of the fact that that was what my parents had recommended. They were the people that my parents had recommended, the people that my sister had recommended. They'd done so well by my family before. And then I was faced with this kind of behavior, which was, in my personal opinion, just completely unreasonable. You don't file a tax return unless the person who is paying you to file it has reviewed it first. You ring them up or call them or email them about any queries that you have. You don't just omit them. You ask the question, what is this? What is this all about? What is going on here? You don't just, no, it'll be fine. It'll be all right, fine. It's not my tax, so I don't have to worry about it, you know? So that was number one bad thing. Cut ties with the accountant. Just completely and utterly done. Done and dusted. Wasn't happy with that, you know? The next big thing that springs to mind was, again, to do with money, which was when I cut ties with Stream Elements. Now, this is the big company that many streamers will know. If you are if you're on Twitch or you do any kind of live streaming, you're probably aware of Stream Elements. Stream Elements do all kinds of good overlays, and it's really easy to use technology for overlays and widgets and bits and pieces for streamers. And that side of things is absolutely fantastic. No issues at all. And I didn't use it, but I used to. It made things a lot easier when I was first starting out. Nowadays, I have my own systems and my own alerts and everything in place. But when I was first starting out, Stream Elements was extremely valuable in that regard, you know? But then in the past year, I decided to start doing some sponsorships with them. I know what you're thinking. For all those people that know about Stream Elements sponsorships, I know what you're thinking. No, it wasn't Raid Shadow Legends, but I know what you're thinking. It was one of those situations where the money that they were offering looked too good to pass up at least trying it. You know, I was like, do you know what? I'm going to give it a go. I will find games on their selection that will appeal to me, and will appeal to my audience. They'll appeal to my viewers, my community, my people, you know? So I picked like some science-based ones. I picked some nerd-based ones. And overall, the first couple that I did were fantastic. They were really, really good. I really enjoyed myself. I enjoyed the games. The community enjoyed the games. They all got involved, and it was a worthwhile endeavor. You know, it was good fun for me. It seemed to be good fun for the community. I know a few people are still playing those games today, which is absolutely fantastic. And it was you know, one of those nice little paydays that allowed me to buy more things for stream, buy more things for continuing my content career, as it were. But then came the last sponsorship that I did with them. Now, I am going to go into this in a bit more depth and detail in another video, because I'm already planning a full video where I talk about it and I let people know my experience. I'm not going to turn around and say people should or shouldn't do anything, but I am going to let people know my experience, because I think it's only fair to share that experience. But long story short, the TLDR of that video, which will be coming in a few weeks' time, is that there was an error on their systems, and that error on their systems cost me hundreds of dollars. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And as you can see, it gets to me. It still gets to me even now. And all my communications with Stream Elements off the back of that, and all of the information that I was prepared to provide them to prove that their systems were wrong, they weren't interested in. So that was a major bad thing. And I will go into that in another video to talk about that properly and in detail, so that people who are interested in that side of things, and people that are interested in any kind of relationship with Stream Elements from the sponsorship side of things, you can learn. Well, I'm not going to say you can learn from my mistakes. You can experience what I experienced. You can learn what I experienced in my process with them, and you can make your own decision as to whether you want to go forward with their sponsorships. I use this because it's not a sponsorship. Sponsorships are, I will pay you this amount of money, you provide me this level of content. There are no like commission-based goals or anything like that, which is what Stream Elements do. But by and by, that was the other major bad thing that happened in 2024. My absolute severance of everything to do with Stream Elements after, to be honest with you, it wasn't even the loss of money that did it for me. It was the way they treated me. Like, money is great and money is essential for being able to live, but when it comes to life and experiences and communications and relationships, business relationships or personal relationships, etc., money isn't as much of a priority for me, because so long as I am paid my dues, whether that be monetarily or like helping each other out or something like that, then I'm good. I'm a happy-go-lucky scamp. I don't need $1 million, billion, trillion. All I need is to get by and be happy with my life. That will do me fine, you know? But the way that they treated me, the way that our interactions went when I queried the situation, I queried the experience and why their systems weren't doing what they were doing, that entire experience was so degrading and dismissive that was the reason why I decided to cut all ties with them. Do you know what I mean? Just cut it all out. Cut it all out. Just be done. Finished. Lock up, throw away key. All good, you know? And then the number 3 bad thing that happened in 2023 was failing my streamiversary. What do you mean by that, Valen? Well, let me tell you, Valen. Effectively, it was my 6-year streamiversary this year. End of September was 6 years that I have been streaming on Twitch, which is such an astronomically long period of time. I don't think I've ever done anything for 6 years before. Like, 6 years and no sign of stopping. Do you know what I mean? By the end of like 5 years, I'm getting bored and I want to do something different. Or I certainly have in my previous jobs and roles and stuff like that. But I haven't done that for streaming. I haven't done that for content. I want to keep going. I want to do more stuff. I've got plans. So many plans for 2025. But yeah, it was an interesting one. Because I was so tired after like the summer and September and stuff that was coming up in October that I wasn't in a great headspace. For starters, I wasn't in a great headspace. But regardless of that, I'd planned this big party. I was like, right, we're going to do all this stuff. We're going to do dares. I'm going to be having a drink. We're going to do all kinds of stuff because the way that we do dares is I put them on a piece of paper, attach them to a paperclip and cast them behind me, and then have a magnet around my waist where I have to pick up the dares, but without using my hands, go fishing, as it were, you know? Like that entire dynamic is absolutely hilarious, the parties that we have over on Twitch. Love it. Mwah. Absolutely bloody love it. It's so good, so much good fun. But I got to the day of the party and I just couldn't do it. I was in a weird headspace and I was just like, do you know what? I can't do this. And as much as it is a celebration for me, it's also a celebration for the community. It's also a celebration for all the people that have supported me. Every single one of these mirrors that you see behind me is covered in the names, the usernames of everyone that has ever subscribed to me. Like, that's what we do. When somebody subscribes on Twitch, we write their name on the mirror of Vain. These are all subscribers. This is evidence of the support I've had over the 6 years that I have been streaming on Twitch. All of these people deserve to have that celebration as well. But I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And it came down to some big realizations in my life that I have been working so hard on content and doing content creation stuff. And if any of you are full-time content creators, you are probably well aware of the slog that is full-time content creation. I was working so hard, and it's not that I haven't made ends meet. It was the fact that after 6 years of doing this, I have no stability. I've always managed to make ends meet, there or thereabouts, just about somehow, you know what I mean? I've always managed to do that. But to literally work for 6 years doing this and have no element of stability, have no, like, backup plan, have nothing, like, that really hit hard. That really, really hit hard as we were coming to that 6-year anniversary. And subsequently, I couldn't do it. I did stream, though. I did go on and I pressed go live, which was more than I was expecting to be able to do given the headspace that I was in. But I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to press go live and I'm just going to be with the community. I'm just going to be there. We'll have a chat. We'll have a good laugh. And do you know what we did? The community really picked up my spirits. We didn't have a party, but we had like a really nice, wholesome experience together. And it was a reflection and a reality check and an understanding, a point of context where I could be honest with the community about where I was in my headspace. And it was beautiful. It was genuinely really beautiful, but I'm still gutted that I couldn't provide that level of entertainment, level of chaos that we have when we do parties over on Twitch. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I love doing. I love providing that level of absolute manicness and chaos and shenanigans. And that wasn't possible. That wasn't possible, unfortunately, for that stream. But it was very wholesome to the community. And if any of you are part of my Twitch community, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you being there as part of that journey and coming in and saying hi. And if you were there on that day, I really appreciate you picking me up. off the floor, off the metaphorical floor. You know, and I really do. I really do. Okay. The good stuff. The good stuff. We've done the bad stuff. We've got the context. We understand all of the things that went wrong. Well, 3 of the things that went wrong in 2024. Okay. But things went right. Things went well. Let's talk about those things. First of all, I started this entire stream off with talking about my accountant and how unbelievably bad they were. Well, I got a new accountant. Yes, a new accountant. Oh, they were fantastic. They were glorious and beautiful. I actually went round 8 different accountants. I rang round 8 different accountants to find people to book in meetings, to have conversations with them, to go out for coffees and have meetings and chat with them to understand who these people were, what kind of expertise they had, whether they would be comfortable with the kind of work that I do, because I know not everybody is, and how much they would cost. Because accountancy fees, it turns out, are hugely variable, depending on who it is and what their experience is and how long they've been doing it and whether they're part of like a big chain corporation thing or whether they're independent, etc., etc., etc. And it took me a really, really long time to actually nail anybody down. I actually thought I found somebody, and I was like in the process of like reaching out to different individuals and what have you. And I was like, right, I'm going to take some time. I'm going to think about it and then I'll get back to you. And I got back to them and they never returned any of my emails. I sent them 4 emails, 4 chase-up emails to try and be like, hey, are your books still open? Are you taking on people? Just an information whether you are not taking on people now. If so, could I please be like put down as a shortlist for the next time your books are open? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just zilch. And I didn't know what to do. I was like, God, I'm going to have to do my own accounts, which isn't the end of the world. But my math is not the greatest, you know? I'm not the greatest mathematician. And there's a lot of legal text that I don't fully understand. So I was quite vexed about the possibility of having to do them myself. But I was prepared to. You know? And then a friend of mine who does a lot of the event stuff with me was like, hey, my partner it does like graphic design and stuff like that, and their accountant seems to be a really nice person. Would you like the information? I was like, yes, give me the information. That'd be absolutely fantastic. So they sent me the information, and it turned out they were fantastic. They were just a really nice person. We had a good long conversation, a long phone call where I got to ask a million questions. They sent me so much information. They gave me so much information about how things work within accountancy that I had no idea about. I asked them so much about the practices of my old accountant and whether they were like standard practices or whether they were just things my old accountant do. And this accountant was like, I'm really surprised that they are doing those things because that's not okay. That's not an all right scenario. That's not an all right situation at all. So I asked them, I said, hey, can you potentially go back and redo the tax year that my old accountant had done? Is that possible? Is that something that I'm able to do? And they were like, yeah, that's not a problem. I think the break off point was like 10 years or something like that. So I was like, if that's possible, if we can go back and you can do that year for me to just double check whether the tax that I'm paying was meant to be 1,300 quid or whether it's not as much like I suspect it's not. So they went away and did it and came back to me. I had to change a couple of things because the way that my old accountant had told me to do things weren't correct, which is the reason why they'd omitted them. So I came back and I changed the things that I needed to do, and I talked through them with it. They were really communicative. They were really, really nice. And it melts my little brain. It melts my little brain because it turns out that the amount of tax that I actually owed was not £1,300. It was £300. Thereabouts, give or take a couple of pounds. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't £1,300, it was £300. So I paid £1,000 more than I should have paid for that tax year. So that money is just waiting for the next tax year. I figured I'd just stay in credit with tax until this year comes in, and then I can decide what I want to do with it. But it was mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling that there could be such a disparagement. I was thinking maybe it might be like £1,000 as opposed to £1,300 or what have you, but it wasn't. The fact that it was like between £250 and £300 worth of tax that I actually owed, but my old accountant was like, oh, by the way, you owe £1,300. It was like, my little brain, my little bloody brain just couldn't deal with it. It was wild. It was absolutely wild. And you know what? They were very, very reasonably priced as well, which I was just like, that's cool. Yeah, you can be my accountant forevermore if you're happy with that. And they were like, yeah, no problem. No worries. So they are currently doing my this year's accounts ready for January. So I'm so unbelievably happy that I have an accountant that I can A, rely on to do their job properly, B, that is reasonably priced, so isn't going to break my bank by any stretch of imagination. Though I honestly think that given what they've done for me, they are well worth the money that I paid for them, 110%. And on top of that, the fact that they're so communicative, and they are so patient with their explanations. Like, obviously they've worked this job for so unbelievably long that it will be child's play to them to be able to do all of the accounting stuff. Oh yeah, cool. You need to do these things. Done. No issues at all. But the fact that they take the time to explain to me what things mean, they take the time to talk through any queries that I have about the scenario. They don't just say, don't worry about it, Mr. Vain, leave it with us, we'll be grand. They actually email me back with screenshots and information like from the legal side of things, and then talk through the legal side of things to explain it in like layman's terms and stuff. Like, they're just great. They're just really, really good accountants. And I have been very, very fortunate enough to find them when I have found them as well, you know? Next good thing, number 2. We launched the Questionable Game Emporium. Yes, we launched the Questionable Game Emporium, which is my not safe for work content. Before you get excited, I don't get naked, all right? I know you were quite eager there, but calm yourself, all right? Effectively, I am a sex educator. I've been a sex educator for a really long period of time, and I have played not safe for work games. I play the erotic games that I find on Steam and what have you, and I've been reviewing them because it turns out that there is no sort of trigger warning site for erotic games. That doesn't seem to exist anywhere. So I started doing that. I started making my own big table that explains all the different bits and pieces about the games that I review, writing the reviews, uploading them onto Steam so that people that are potentially interested in those kinds of games are getting an understanding of what's entailed within the games, but also from a sex education point of view, what is accurate, what is inaccurate, and what is actively misleading. And I tell you what, I have seen some things that cannot be unseen. Yeah, I've played a lot of these now, and I have seen some things that will not leave my brain no matter how much bleach I pour in my eyes. Metaphorically, I don't actually pour bleach in my eyes. Anyway, I was very open with the community about the fact that I play these games and that I review the games, and I am giving feedback to the devs and also like viewers and gamers themselves, you know, about this stuff. And a few people in the community said, hey, where can we find them? Where can we find your playthroughs of these games? We'd love to see the playthroughs of the games. Now, previously, I'd never recorded them because I never considered the concept that somebody would like to watch somebody play a not safe for work game. However, where there is will, there is a way. Where there is supply, there is demand. And I was prepared to provide that supply for the demand. I figured if I'm playing them anyway, why not record myself doing it? Why not record myself doing it and edit down and make some, well, not safe for work YouTube content effectively. So I started doing that. I prepped a whole load of videos and I got them all ready, and now it is live. We have launched it where I'm able to play the games and also educate as I'm playing. So we talk about kinks, we talk about sex education, we talk about things that are completely unreasonable and things that are there for the fantasy but actually in practicality don't work. We talk about all these different dynamics whilst also enjoying the hedonistic endeavors of an erotic game, you know? And some of them are absolutely fantastic and some of them are god awful, but that's what we do. That's what we do. And you know what? Because I'm talking about it here, I'll put a link down below in the description to the Questionable Game Emporium, both the YouTube channel and the other site, so that should you want to have a look yourself, you're more than welcome to do so, okay? This wasn't meant to be like an advertising thing, but as I'm talking about it, it's there if you would like to check it out. If you don't, that's also cool. Perfectly cool with all of the above, do you know what I mean? And the final good thing that happened in 2024 was that we launched the Devil's Parlor. Devil's Parlor. Oh, my little baby. So for those people that are not aware, as well as being a full-time content creator and doing all of these wonderful things on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitch, etc., I also am an event manager. I run events. I run big cabaret events, the most famous of which is Ken, which is my kinky erotic nature night, which is a big erotic cabaret. Think if Rocky Horror fucked the Moulin Rouge, that weird event offspring would be Ken. It's great. It's wonderful. It's tongue-in-cheek, but also hedonistic in every way, shape, and form. You know, it's my baby. It's my baby. We've been doing that for bloody years, nearly a decade. I think it's like nearly a decade now. And this year, we realized that the format of Ken, where it's like a cabaret that then turns into a nightclub, would actually work for other genres as well. It doesn't have to just be adult-oriented stuff. It doesn't have to just be erotic or fetish stuff. It could work for other things as well. So this year, we decided to do it for our Halloween night. Now, for a few years now, we've run a night called Devil's Night, amusingly taken from the whole idea of Halloween and the pre-Halloween being Devil's Night, and of course, the references in The Crow there. The old Crow, not the new Crow. And we've run that for a couple of years where it's just been a nightclub. It's been a nightclub where people come down, they're dressed up, we hire some performers to walk about scaring people, we hire a whole load of DJs, etc. And this year we decided to change it from Devil's Night to the Devil's Parlor, where we have the cabaret. We start with the cabaret and then turn it into the nightclub. So we're still keeping the nightclub element, but we wanted to bring a little horror, bring a little gore-esque, you know, a little tantalizing, tongue-in-cheek, a little bit cheesy dynamics of horror. And we had an amazing array of performers. We had some phenomenal like shows and burlesque and drag and gore. So much gore. It was, it was genuinely exquisite. And yeah, it was great. It was wonderful. And it really scratched that itch for me because it was different enough from Ken that I felt excited about it, but it had enough of the format of Ken that it was easy enough to adopt to. Do you know what I mean? We adapted really nicely. We could just use the same sort of skeleton and create this new thing, and it was beautiful, and it made me very, very happy in my little soul to do it. So yeah, that went down amazingly well. We sold out on the cabaret. We had a whole load of people come for the event afterwards, which was wild. I never thought, with it being the first event of its kind, we've never done a Halloween event like it. I was amazed to see that we'd sold out of the cabaret. So that was mind-boggling to me, and I can't wait to do it next year. I genuinely can't wait to do it next year. We're gonna have a Ken sometime at the first part of the year, and then come October time next year we'll do another Devil's Parlor. And yeah, it's my babies. I love doing my events, I really do. So it was great to see it have such a promising beginning, you know, such a promising birth in the realms of debauchery and evil of Halloween, you know. And that brings us to the close of our good things, which is wild that we've whipped through them this quickly, you know? So the bad things, I got screwed over by my old accountant. I failed miserably to do my streamiversary, which I know many people will not think is like a problem because it's like, oh, well, you know, you got to take time for yourself. But for me, it was a major issue. I felt like I was letting people down, and I felt like I was letting myself down as well. So that's the reason why it was a bad thing. And then my separating my ways from Stream Elements completely and cutting ties with that potential source of actual income. And then the good things, which is what I like to focus on because I am nauseatingly optimistic. I got a new accountant, which saved me a whole load of money. I got the launch of the questionable game Emporium. That kicked off, and that went really, really well. That went so much better than I was expecting it to. And the Devil's Parlor blew my little socks off in regards to how well that was received and how well that did. So that was the bad stuff. Yeah, they were pretty awful, especially at the moments, the times that we were doing it. But the good stuff was just absolutely sensational. Loved it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And now we take all of the bad stuff and all of the good stuff, and we think forward to 2025. Things that I want to do in 2025. Schemes and plans and activities and projects. And good Lord, do I have many projects, because I found out, friends, that one of my personal stress responses is to make a new project. Every single time I'm stressed because I've got too much going on, I'm like, oh, let's start a new thing, because that can only go well. Why am I like this? Anyway, so now the 2025 plans. Now, I am going to do a video at some stage in the near future about like my proper in-depth detailed plans for 2025, what I want to do in the different quarters and stuff like that, so that you delightful viewers get to see my harebrained schemes of madness and chaos. But at the same time, you also get to see what is coming up, what kind of exciting things, what hedonistic endeavors I'm getting myself involved in, you know? But for now, let me give you like 3 overviews, 3 little things that I want to throw out as things that I would like to be involved in or plan for 2025. The first of which is getting back into TikTok, because I got quite big on TikTok. I got like 87,000 followers on TikTok over the past few years, which has been sensational, genuinely sensational, and a really rewarding experience for me. But I kind of fell out of love with it, and because of the way that TikTok works in regards to like monetization and stuff like that, it wasn't worth the amount of effort that I was putting into it versus the amount of money I was getting out of it. And there wasn't much transference between like TikTok and Twitch or TikTok and YouTube to really warrant the amount of time that I was putting into making TikToks. And that isn't saying that I didn't want to do it. I do want to do it. I genuinely do. But time is something that I really, really struggle with. So I want to get back into TikTok. And there is now more of an incentive to get back into TikTok because of ways that I have managed to sort like time management systems, you know? Like I've got a specific system that I use now, which can cross-post onto multiple platforms, which means that the stuff that I put out on TikTok can also be on YouTube Shorts. It could also be on my Instagram Reels. And those could be really valuable and worth putting my time and effort into because of the fact that I can cross-platform them now. You know, I could put them out there on multiple platforms and therefore reach multiple audiences and hopefully draw people to more videos like this, you know, and make things worthwhile. Like, I want to get back in touch with TikTok. I want to get back in touch with my TikTok community that I built over there. I also want to transfer that over to YouTube because obviously with the whole thing in America at the moment of TikTok potentially not being allowed in America at some point in the future, I want to make sure that like material, that content is still available for people through Instagram Reels or through YouTube Shorts. And also the fact that YouTube Shorts are now going to 3 minutes means that I can actually expand a little bit more on the kind of content that I can produce with that. I'm really excited about that kind of thing. I want to get really into that and get my teeth stuck into it in like 2025 because I feel like that's going to be a fun thing for me to do. I feel like it's going to be a really good release of creativity for me as well as everything else. So that's a big thing that I want to really sink my teeth into in 2025. So if you are a person that enjoys YouTube Shorts or are on TikTok or are on Instagram, keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled for my delightful visage, okay, you cheeky devils? Next, I would like to gain some qualifications. I would like to do some courses during 2025 that will give a certificate to the fact that I know what I'm doing. I've been doing sex education for people for literally years. I have been fascinated by the concept of sex for years. Years and years and years and years and years and years, right? I have books and books and books on sex and kinks and fetishes and eroticisms and fantasies and the psychology behind it and stuff like that. I've got so much information that I find out about this stuff, and many of you who will have seen me on Twitch and my Twitch streams and stuff like that, you know that I talk about this stuff all the time. I literally have seminars on this channel around the topic of sex, the topic of consent, the myth of virginity. I have all of that stuff here. So I do my research and I do go out and I do these things. But what I don't have is a piece of paper from an organization saying that I know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I know what I'm talking about through excessive amounts of research and personal experience. I know what I'm talking about because I speak to people and I ask them their experiences and I do sort of pseudo case studies to find out whether other people have experienced similar things. We have big conversations around it. I do my research, you know, but I don't have a piece of paper that says, hey, ValenVain is an authority on this. So that's something that I really want to do in 2025 is do a few courses, do a few little bits and pieces where I can literally get the piece of paper that says, ValenVain, he knows what he's talking about. You know, that's like a key thing for me in 2025, I think. And finally, my last thing that I want to do in 2025 is move in with my partner or have my partner move in with me. I want me, my partner, and my partner's child to be a family unit in one household. You know, we have talked about it for a really, really long time, and it's something that I am very enthusiastic about it. I'm very enthusiastic and keen to get it going because I think that's the point of life that we're in. There's obviously a lot of complications with like jobs and schools and lives that are in different cities because we're currently long distance. But I think all of those things are what things that we need to sort out because we want a future together. And I think we deserve a future together. So that's the last thing. And to be honest with you, in my personal opinion, the most important thing. Like, I love my job. I love my career. I love the industry in which I work, as you all know, because I never shut up about it. But in regards to priorities, yeah, my partner is definitely top of the bunch. Top of the absolute list of all priorities. And I am keen, very keen for us to take that next step in our lives. So, yeah. Finish with a little personal one, you know? So there you have it, friends. The good, the bad, and the future. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm genuinely looking forward to the future. I feel like I've learned a lot, especially this year, around the dynamics of content and the industry of content and where I want to go and where I want to put my energies and efforts and ways that I can save my time to be able to do more. Because I'm enthusiastic, as it were. But of course, as always, if you want to check me out or talk to me about these things, then you can find me over on Twitch. Twitch.tv/ValenVain. We talk about sex all the time. But you can also ask me industry questions. You can also come over and chat about all manner of hedonistic endeavors. I'm more than happy to do that. So yeah. Come check me out on Twitch. That's where I do my live streaming. We may be delving into the realms of multi-streaming in 2025. I don't know whether we'll be doing it on TikTok or TikTok and YouTube or just YouTube. I'm not entirely sure, but that is definitely on the agenda. But for the time being, the only place that I do live streams is the wonderful world of Twitch. So you got to come find me on there, all right? You can also find me on TikTok, where this is going to be one of my big priorities in 2025. So if you are into your shorts and stuff like that, if you have a TikTok account and you would like to support me by giving me a cheeky little follow, this is where you can find me, you know? And of course, the other one we mentioned was Instagram Reels. So if you've got an Instagram account and you like Instagram, you enjoy that dynamic, you want to see more of my delightful visage, you get to see a little bit more of the behind the scenes stuff that I do with like the shows that I'm in and the events that I do. That tends to be on Instagram. And like the photo shoots that I get involved in and stuff like that, that all tends to be on Instagram. So if you want to check those out, that is the place to do it. That is the place to do it, you know? Thank you so much for watching, you beautiful individuals. Friends, as always, if you are excited about something in 2025 in my potential plans, or you have something that you would like to say yourself, then stick it down in the comments. I'd like to hear about people's exciting plans for 2025, because your excitement is something that I can feed off, and I hope that you feed off mine as well. So if you would like to put your plans down for 2025, please do so. I am keen to see what you are planning and scheming, you know? And of course, if you've got this far in the video and you have enjoyed it, then please consider giving us that cheeky little thumbs up. It helps us in the algorithms. It helps us push forward with all the bits and pieces that we do, you know. And I always say it because I always forget to do it until somebody says it in a video. When I'm watching somebody else's YouTube video and they're like, don't forget to like it. And I'm like, oh God, yeah, no, I do like this. I've been watching it for 40 minutes, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's where that is. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The year has been a roller coaster. 2024 has been a roller coaster of a time. And I am looking forward to what 2025 holds. I am very optimistic. And I'm very excited about what is going to happen in 2025. You know? I genuinely really am. But yeah, thanks for watching, you beautiful individuals. And remember, until next time, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Because if I wouldn't do it, I'll fucking kill you.